Zoom, as you know, but we'll try to do our best and to in some way go ahead and just try to sing together a little bit because I want you to sing to do some of the singing, obviously.
Pardon me, Enrico. I just wanted to say we
Please.
are recording, and I hope that's
Okay.
okay with everyone. If it's not, and you want to turn off your camera or turn off your mic, that's fine. But I just wanted to let you know we're recording. Okay, thanks. Sorry to interrupt.
No, no, no. I'm glad that you're recording so that everybody can just go back and see that what lousy thing did Enrico sing in that moment? But or just go and catch up and or if something is not clear enough, because I will be just cruising through a few tunes that I hope are might be of interest. And you can also stop me anytime and say, no, we want to do this other thing. No, we don't like this. Yeah, okay, let's. So I thought we could start with something that is in the Seder. It's also not in the Seder, it's also in the Shul. It's both. And is something that is a sort of pan-Italian tune that we use a lot for, and is in some way, identifies Pesach for us. Because as those of you who were with me and Jeff that long time ago, before everything changed, before the word changed, and I was there in person. Those of you who are there know, Italians have this strange thing of having many different traditions throughout our country. So there is I live in Florence, and we have a Florence Jewish tradition, which is different from where my family comes from, which is Ferrara. Ferrara Jewish tradition is different, and Roman Jews are even more different. And Turin Jews have other music, and Venetian Jews have still other music, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of different traditions, but some rare tunes are kind of pan-Italian. Everybody basically uses them, and this is one of them. And it is the typical piece from Tehillim for Pesach, the psalm that we sing for Pesach. So Betzet Israel, which probably and you might probably know some very nice tunes. I mean, Jeff obviously will know 1,000 nice tunes for it, but I will have you learn, if you want, the Italian tune, which I like very much, and it's very nice. I have the text here somewhere. Now I will start sharing my screen and my sound if I manage. Let's start with this. Okay. Okay, you should be seeing my screen now. And what I want to do, since I cannot do a real concert being by myself, I will sing with you and I will sing it to you but first, just to get a taste of it, I'll show you a snippet of a concert where I play that tune. So just to give you an idea of the melody, don't be scared. It's a jazz concert, and with some strange arrangements of the tune. But the melody that I'm singing is the tune without any quirks. It's just what everybody else is playing that is a bit off the normal beaten track. But just a small piece of it, so that you get a hang of how the melody sounds like. Betzet Okay, that will be enough. It's made up of 4 verses which have the same exact melody, so we don't need to listen to the whole video, which would take away a lot of time. So I'm gonna find the text here. I used Sepharia just to have it. I don't know if you have a Haggadah in the home, just grab it. The Betzet Israel will be just before the end of the first part, just at the end of the first part of the Seder, before Motzi Matzah, before the moment where we start eating. And so I'll get it over here somewhere. Here I have the Hebrew text. I might also use I also have a music sheet with some with the transliteration, which maybe we can. I don't know what you prefer. I can either show you the music. The only problem with the music is that it is an Italian transliteration, which I don't know if for you it is more complicated than the Hebrew. What do you prefer, the Hebrew without the music, or this Italian transliteration with the music? Just
I think we need the transliteration.
Okay, so we'll use this one. Okay, I hope it's not too much confusing. Sorry. Okay, so it goes like this. Betzet Israel mi Mitzrayim Bet Yaakov. Okay, first thing that I need to tell you. Now, if you want to sound Italian when you sing some Italian piece of Italian Jewish music, you have to pronounce Hebrew as the Italians do it. And it's not a pronunciation which you can think like some Italian-American pronunciation. It does not sound like that at all. But it has some quirks with respect to normal Hebrew pronunciation. I'm not talking about American or Ashkenazi Yiddish pronunciation. I'm talking about even quirks with respect to Sephardic or to Israeli pronunciation. And one of them, most notable, is that we pronounce the letter Ayin. I don't know how many of you are fluent in Hebrew, but in modern Hebrew, we do not pronounce the Ayin. And instead, Italians, like also people from Yemen, and from some Mizrahi communities and some North African, but few, pronounce the Ayin with a sound that now we use this ng sound, like ng. But in the days of like the generation before me, the days of my father or my grandfather, they would use the ny sound. So it would really be like if you hear, maybe I'll let you hear later on some old recordings which are fun, and they would say, for example, the Yaakov is not Yaakov, but it's Yan Yaakov. Try that, Yan Yaakov. I don't hear you, but I'm sure that you can unmute yourself to so Yan Yaakov.
But Enrico, I just want to point out to the Yiddish speakers or the traditional Ashkenazim around this, something you know very well. But this is why Yaakov in Ashkenazi, deep Ashkenazi pronunciation is Yankov.
Exactly.
From way back, and Mansa instead of Maisa and all of that stuff. Okay, I'll shut up.
No, it's absolutely wonderful that you point this out. It's actually true. I mean, it's a memory of what that ayin sounded like in ancient times, because Italian Jews, why do we have, I think there's a bit of distortion. Let me put this down. The Italian Jews have some, do you still hear me well now?
Yes.
Or is
it could be a little louder.
It's loud? Yeah.
No, it's a little soft.
It's a little soft. Okay, so it's better like this.
Yeah, there you go.
Better? Okay. So Italian Jews have this thing of that also is connected with the fact that we have many different traditions, that we are a community that has an extremely long history of continuous history on the same soil. So in particular, Roman Jews, for example, my community, the community that I live in, Florence, is a relatively young community because it dates only from the 1400s. So it's not really an ancient community. But Rome, well, Roman Jews were there, have been there for more than 2,000 years. So it's a very ancient community. And some say that all these quirks in our pronunciation are kind of a testimony to an ancient way of pronouncing Hebrew, and which is probably true. And as Jeff said, a testimony to this is also the fact that, for example, in Yiddish, Yaakov becomes Yanke. Okay, long story, but so it becomes Yan Yaakov. Okay, so yeah, try it.
Yan Yaakov.
Yan Yaakov. That's good.
Yan Yaakov.
Yan Yaakov. That is very. I'm also doing it a bit Ferrarese. Yan Yaakov. This is
Yan Yaakov.
Yan Yaakov. Yeah, and so it goes. Betzet Israel mi Mitzrayim Bet Yan Yaakov Me'am Loes Hayeta Yehuda Lekodsho Israel Mamshelotav. Okay. Do you want to try to be muted so that we don't have a kind of choir with different tempos, which will be complicated? Okay, so just sing it with me muted, okay? Betzet Israel mi Mitzrayim Bet Yan Yaakov Me'am Loes Hayeta Yehuda Lekodsho Israel Mamshelotav. Is that complicated? Easy? Nice?
Wow, that is really gorgeous. I'm going to use this basil.
Okay, and I mean, this is part of the Seder, so if you want to kind of do something, this is, you can, I will send you, I mean, you can find it, this on the recording of the, of this meeting that we're having now, but I'll also send the PDF to Jeff, so you can all have it, and there's all the different verses. It's 4 verses with the same melody, so once you know one, you know everyone. Okay, I don't know if we want to. It's very strange when we try to sing together on Zoom because there's the lag effect, but we can try and see what happens. Jeff is shaking his head, so let's not try this.
As we used to say in Boston, let's not and say we did.
Okay, let's not say. Okay. But okay. So Betzet Israel is a very nice, and this I said is a very, very, very Italian, pan-Italian too. The next thing that I'm going to have you listen to is just a snippet of what the big part of the Seder sounds like in for example, in Florence, the melody that we use to just read the basic text of the Seder. And it's very simple, but it's very nice. It's also an old, as we usually, this is a learn mode, as people that know these things say. It's the tune to which we would read, for example, the Mishnah in back in the days when people would memorize it and sing it. That is not happening very much anymore. But let me get a little piece of the. Let's go back. For example, okay. Okay. Right. Let me get just to the beginning so that. Okay. And I'm not going to do Manishtana because you would never change the melody of Manishtana for, I mean, you have kids. And so, I mean, there's no point in learning a new melody for Manishtana because any melody that I mean, I'm sure, and this is the same thing, that you have to have your kids sing it. Everybody knows that melody. And so we will not, but I'll let you hear
Actually,
just.
Enrico,
Yeah.
sorry. Can you just quickly talk about Manishtana? Because us American Jews tend to use the Israeli one, Manishtana halala. But I grew up with the Ashkenazic Manishtana halala hazeh mikol halaloy. So what do you do? Just
Okay, I tell you the truth. In up to let's say 40 years ago, we would use just the normal. We wouldn't have a special melody for it, so we just would use the normal. I'll let you hear it, the normal singing form. But now we have this incredible melody which goes like Manishtana halayla. And everybody, yeah,
Israeli
that's
one.
bread. Exactly. So for Manishtana and for example also for Dayenu, just the Israeli melody just swept over Italy, and nobody uses the old melodies anymore because it's just has become like standard word practice, I guess, everywhere you go. But until a few decades ago, we would say, like, let me put my glasses on because I will מה נשתנה הלילה זה מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה, הלילה הזה כולו מצה, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאר ירקות, הלילה הזה כולו מרור, שבכל הלילות איננו מטבילין אפילו פעם אחת, הלילה הזה שתי פעמים, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבים ובין מסובים, הלילה הזה כולנו מסובים. That would have been in Florence. I mean, there are different melodies around the country, which I probably would not be able to do just like that. But this would be a standard way of doing it. And
but that's
also
incredibly
kids,
interesting to us, because it's so different from the standard Ashkenazic way. And
if you want, we can. I can. I'll
do your thing. I don't want to.
No, it's the same. It's the same. So this is good. I'll just go ahead this once again. So it's just then basically all the Haggadah goes with this kind of melody, which is kind of repetitive. It's quite simple to learn, and then has just a little ending that is fun. It's a nice melody. It's a nice, possibly somewhat ancient melody that we're using in Florence. So I'll do it slower. מה נשתנה הלילה זה מכל הלילות. This is the beginning. We do all the da-di-da-di-da-di-da-da-da, bam, bam, bam. This would be, for example, there's many times shenemar, da-di-da-di-da-di-da-da-da, shenemar. This is just the standard beginning for all that. מה נשתנה הלילה זה מכל הלילות. And then the central body begins. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה. הלילה הזה כולו מצה. It's all kind of question and answer. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאר ירקות, הלילה הזה כולו מרור. דה-דה-די-דה-די-דם, דה-דה-די-דה-די-דם, דה-בה-די-דה-די-דם, בה-דה-די-דה-דם, until it gets to the end. And at the end, for example, here's הלילה הזה כולנו מסובים. So it's really made up of these three ingredients. For example, in this next one, עבדים היינו לפרעה במצרים, ויוציאנו השם אלוקינו משם, ביד חזקה ובזרוע נטויה, ואילו לא הוציא הקדוש ברוך הוא את אבותינו ממצרים. Okay, there's a small variation, so I go back to Manishtana, which is even clearer. Once again. מה נשתנה הלילה זה מכל הלילות, די-די-די-די-די-די-דם בם בם, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה, הלילה הזה כולו מצה, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאר ירקות, הלילה הזה כולו מרור, שבכל הלילות אין אנו מטבילים אפילו פעם אחת. הלילה הזה שתי פעמים, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבים ובין מסובין. הלילה הזה כולנו מסובין. For those of you who read Hebrew, I hope you heard my nines that I pronounced hardly. I do just Avadima. Everything is just about the same. It has sometimes you hear it in Mitzrayim, a small variation. But it's all very simple. Just to get you a feeling of the tune. עבדים היינו לפרעה במצרים, היוציאנו השם אלוקינו משם, ביד הזכה ובזרוע הנטויה, ואילו לא הוציא הקדוש ברוך הוא את אבותינו ממצרים, הרי אנו בנינו בני בנינו, משום בנים היינו לפרעה במצרים, ואפילו כולנו חכמים, כולנו נבונים, כולנו זקנים, כולנו יודעים את התורה, מצווה עלינו לספר ביציאת מצרים. וכל המרבה לספר ביציאת מצרים, הרי זה משובח. So that would be Florentine style Seder. And okay, it's, if you want to learn a little part of it, it can be nice just to give a different, I don't know, but it's just a small different flavor for at least for a part of the Seder. Okay, so I don't want to. One thing that I want definitely to go on is we'll come back to some things of the first part later on, but just so that I don't lose track of the time, I need to get to the fun part, which is the end of the Seder and all the different tunes that we use for the basically the folk songs that are at the end of the Seder. Okay, so this is something that I would like to start with possibly the most famous one, which is Chad Gadya. And first of all, I'll let you hear a melody that we use here in Florence to sing it in. Do I have it here? Do they have it here? Do I have it here? Yes, okay, here. Because I'm not sure. I mean, there is this melody for to sing it in actually it's not even Hebrew, in Aramaic, that I think that it's Florentine, but maybe it sounds like a fake Mizrahi melody. It might be something from the 1800s, and I'm curious if anybody of you knows it, because it might be something that arrived. I mean, I have this in a recording from the 50s, but I never was sure where it came from. I mean, I'm not sure it's something very old and very Italian, so might have been something that I don't know. Maybe some of you know. In Hebrew, it would sound like this. Chad Gadya, dezabina babi treizuze. Chad Gadya, ve'ata shura, ve'achla legadya. Bezabina babi trezuze, Chad Gadya. Ever heard this?
It sounds vaguely reminiscent of something else that's in major, which is interesting.
Okay.
But no, so, not that.
Not that one. Okay. I was just curious. And this is a fun thing that we do, and we make it also a little bit faster. But what I want to try your hand at is to sing this in Italian, because I mean this is what basically happens in all over the world. Do you sing it in English, Chad Gadya? Like a kid goat or something?
I think Deborah does it sometimes.
Okay, but in Italy, and not only in Italy, I think in many parts of the world, it is kind of typical to have a local language version of Chad Gadya. And well, it's also a bit more than this, but I'll be getting to this in a minute. I will, if I may, I will be doing now. This is something that I often do. What I want to teach to you, first of all, is not only the the language, the tune, the language, but also the typical movements, the moves that go with it. Okay, because this is something very, very important. I'll put the text here in Italian so that you have it. Okay, let's see if I have it here. No, it's something else. Okay, this I have the idea. Okay, so this is the text in Italian. I'll explain to it. I'll explain to you in a bit. But do you hear me? Do you see me, or am I very small if I'm sharing the screen?
I can see you. Can everyone else unmute if you can't?
Or I can stop sharing and then start sharing again. That may be better for the first part. Or do you?
Do you want to?
Okay,
so you want to sing it first, and then we'll sing it together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let's stop the share. I think that's a good idea. Yeah. Okay. And if you want to see Enrico, go to speaker view. There you go.
No,
Okay. Sure. You still hear me? Because
Yes,
the microphone
sir.
should be working. Yes. Okay. So this is the movement part is very important. Okay. You know that Italians gesticulate a lot. I think that you've heard that. Okay. So this is the way we sing it in Ferrara. Okay. It's my family comes from. So this is also the point that not only we use different melodies in different towns, but for pieces like this, for tunes like this, in which we use the local language, it's also the local dialect, because you know that Italy has different dialects around the country. So this is not only, it is in Italian, it is in Ferrarese, but not only in Ferrarese, in Giudeo-Ferrarese, a kind of Yiddish for Ferrarese, okay? It's a Ferrarese with some Hebrew words in it. And it goes like this. Hat gadia, un capret, che aveva comprato in piazza il signor padre per 2 scudi, un capret. Okay, so you know the story, so I don't need to translate. I mean, it's pretty simple. What I would ask you to do, if I may, is that we cannot sing together, it's on Zoom, but we can dance together. So this is not a dance, this is a movement. So please copy my movements, copy try to be Italian as you can. There's a few, I know there's a few times here that I would say hello to later on, but I want to Italianize you. I don't know, does that word even exist? Okay, so copy my movements, please. Hat gadia, un capret, che aveva comprato in piazza il signor padre per 2 scudi, un capret, è venuta la gatta, the cat, la gatta che mangia il capretto, che aveva comprato in piazza il signor padre per 2 scudi, un capretto. You know, how the story goes on. So after the cat, the dog. È venuto il can che morsega la gatta, la gatta mangia il capretto, che aveva comprato in piazza il signor padre per 2 scudi, un capretto. È venuto the stick. È venuto il bastone che abbastona il can che morsega la gatta mangia il capretto, che aveva comprato in piazza il signor padre per 2 scudi, un capretto. And then we go to the elements. È venuto il fuoco, fire, il fuoco che brucia il bastone che abbastona il can che morsega la gatta mangia il capretto, che aveva comprato in piazza il signor padre per 2 scudi, un capretto. È venuto l'acqua, water, l'acqua che smorzava il fuoco che bruciava il bastone che abbastona il can che morsega la gatta mangia il capretto, che aveva comprato in piazza il signor padre per 2 scudi, un capret, è venuto, the ox, il bov che ha bevu l'acqua, la casmorsai, il fuoco a brusare, il bastone, il bastone, la cacca, brusare la gatta, che mangiare il capretto, che aveva comprato in piazza, signor padre, per 2 scudi, un capret, è venuto il shochet. I'm sorry to say for the ox, but that's how the story goes. È venuto il shochet che ammassa il bov, l'acqua, la casmorsai, il fuoco a brusare, il bastone, la cacca, brusare la gatta, che mangiare il capretto, che aveva comprato in piazza, signor padre, per 2 scudi, un capret, è venuto il malach hamavet, so the angel of death, so it's bad news also for the shochet. È venuto il malach hamavet, che ammassa il shochet, che ammassa il bov che bevu l'acqua, la smorzai, il fuoco che abusai, il bastone, il cacca, la gatta, che mangiare il capretto, che aveva comprato in piazza, signor padre, per 2 scudi, un capret, and then in the end, it's also Kadosh Baruch Hu, so it's bad news also for the angel of death. Evenu Kadosh Baruch Hu, ki amasa el malach hamavet, ki amasa el shochet, ki amasa el bov che bevu l'acqua, la smorzai, il fuoco che abusai, il bastone, che bastone, il canco, la gatta, che mangiai il capretto, che aveva comprato in piazza, signor padre, per 2 scudi, un capret, Had Gadia. Okay, very much.
Oh my gosh, that is so fantastic. I don't remember you teaching that with the hand gestures and the movements. That is like,
because there's a time for everything, as Kohelet says. So I mean, when I'm in concert, no, I do this. Can I tell you my dirty secret? I usually do this with the movements with kids, but on Zoom, it's fantastic because we can do movements together. So it works perfectly well, and we can. It's just we can't sing, but we can move. So I use it for non children also, and it works. I mean, I hope it works.
so wonderful.
Okay, so I will go ahead to share my screen again. Now, here is the text. I will just send this over to Jeff so that you have it, and you can, you will have this recording, and also I can send you some link to where I'm singing this. There's a few videos around where I do this. So if you want to practice this, because I tell you, this works wonderfully with children. So in my experience, children usually are asleep when Chad Gadya time comes, and so it's everything is spoiled because you just wind up to it, and then they're sleeping. But if they're awake, then this is a crowd pleaser, and so it's just something. But it's very late, so I will not go through the text in Italian with you right now because we have not that much time, and I wanted to show you a couple of things more before we finish. First thing is interesting, which is nice, is another version of Chad Gadya, which is really amazing. This is called La Crava, and the incredible part is this is just to let you hear the differences in different parts of Italy. This is the melody that is used in Piedmont, or that was used in Piedmont a long time ago. And the incredible part is that it mixes the story of Chad Gadya with a local folk song, a local folk tune that tells the story. It starts differently, but then it ends the same. There's a goat, not a kid goat, a goat, a full-sized goat that is moving around the field, and she it's a she goat, and it's la capra, but it's not capra because in Piemontese it's la crava. And what the capra does is the capra hits some barrels of wine, and the wine falls on the floor, and the barrels break. And so the owner of the wine is very upset about this thing, and he said, this goat that broke my wine. And then the wolf came and ate the goat that ate my wine, and then the stick came and beat the wolf, and then the fire, and then everything goes on as before. And what is interesting is that nobody is really sure, because that Chad Gadya is something that probably was imported from a non-Jewish tradition into Judaism a long time ago in the Middle Ages. And this local strange version of the tune, which Jews use for Hadgadia in Passover, but non-Jews use as a non-Jewish, I mean, they know it as a local folk song in Piedmont, in some places, small towns in Piedmont, in the countryside. This tune, some people also said that this might be a version of the original non-Jewish song that was imported into the Haggadah by Jews in the Middle Ages and became our Haggadah. Nobody's really sure, but I will just let you hear it and send you the text because it's really fun. And it's also very nice. I don't know how many of you play instruments or do, it's a very cool place to play, song to play. I have it here in where, okay. Let's go back to it. So you can hear traditional instruments from the northeast of Italy. Okay, I'll stop it so that we don't lose too much time, but I just want to let you see the music and the text. And so it says, so arrived a goat that was just eating, and that was, how do you say, going on as pasture, okay? Pasturava is like pasture in English. Klamarot me bot, that broke my botte, is like barrel, okay? Okay, bumbin keler entol me budle la crava que lam la rot. Oh, what good wine that was in my barrel. And it was the goat that broke it for me. And then it goes on. And the wolf arrived. Camana crava cala pastura va clamarot me but. Okay, bumbin keler ental me but le la crava que lam la rot. Again, el arriva el bastung, the stick. La bastuna colluv que la mañana crava que la pasturava, clamarot me bot. Ok, mumbin que la rental me but, de la crava que la rot. And so on and so forth. And you also have the melody here. This is a very fun tune, also because it has this different quirk in wolves and goats and wine, which is somewhat different, but it goes on in the same way as Hadgadia that you heard. And for somebody has hinted to the possibility that this version is a version of the original pre-Haggadah Hadgadia.
Is it so? The Jews of the area, do they sing this song exactly as it is, or do they change the
exactly
words?
No, they change the only difference is that in the local folk setting, non-Jewish, it doesn't go, it stops with the butcher, which is here is called, which is also interesting, they use this word biquet, which is a very typical Piemontese word for a butcher instead of shochet. That, but it's not a common word. It's also a strange word, like shochet is strange in Judeo-Italian because we use shochet in Judeo. So and the folk song ends there, whereas the version that the Jews sing goes on with the angel of death and with Hakadosh Baruch Hu. But aside from that, it's just absolutely they sing the same thing. They just go on a couple of more verses. But so it's very interesting because nobody knows where the tradition comes from. If the Jews kind of taught it to the general population in these areas of Piedmont, or the other way around, which would be fantastic. But there's no real way to be sure.
And for the angel of death and Hakadosh Baruch Hu, do the Jews, when they sing it, do they use the Hebrew
Yeah, they use shochet instead of, like I did in the Ferrarese version, and I wrote to you. So we say the shochet, arriva il shochet, and il malach hamavet, il Hakadosh Baruch Hu, just like. So, because those would be words that would be present in Judeo-Italian, in the dialect of Judeo-Italian, whatever it is. Okay. Another song in, let's see how much time I have. Do you want another in Italian, which is a version of Echad Mi Yodea, or another in Hebrew, which is easy and fun, which is Kilonai? You decide.
Why don't you unshare? Let's see what people want. We have time for one more. You want to unscreen share so we can?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's see.
You can vote for Kilonai, which is in Hebrew, and it's fun. It's at the end of the Seder, or Echad Mi Yodea in an Italian version. I have two, but I'll choose one.
Who wants Kilonai? Raise your hand. Who wants the Italian song?
It's a tie.
Okay, Enrico, you decide.
Okay, I'll try to do both really fast.
That's
okay.
Really Jewish. Okay. Can't do
okay. Okay, let me see if I have Kilonai, the version. Okay. I'll put the version with the melody on it. I need to share again. I need to do the share.
On Friday night, he was talking about Wednesday concert. No.
Okay.
I see Martin.
Oh no, I didn't share. I'm sorry. I thought it was sharing already.
I see Martin Rome is in the room. I don't know if a Florentine being in the room, if that causes a problem. Is there something wrong? Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Is he? Okay. Okay, let me get the text first and then the music later. Okay, the text is here. Okay. Okay. So just at the end of, before Hadgadia and the Echad Mi Yodea, you find Kilonai, which is a fun tune, which is really used as at least in Italy, as a kind of tongue twister in Hebrew. And this melody is also from Ferrara, and it goes like this. Kilonai, kilo yahe, adir bimlocha, bahor kalacha. Gedudav yomeru lo lecha ulecha lecha ki lecha lecha haflecha lecha Hashem mamlacha ki lo nahe ki lo yahe dagul bimlocha vadur kalacha ותיקב יאמרו לו לך ולך לך כי לך לך הפלך לך הרשם הממלכה כי לא נאה כי לא יאה. It goes on like this, and it is a kind of tongue twister because it just uses all the adjectives that the author could think of for Akadosh Baruch Hu, and we sing it faster and faster with this lecha ulecha lecha ki lecha lecha aplecha, which is quite fun to do. I'll just sing it once for you, and I have the melody, and I will send it to you. So, but it's a cool piece to do some fun with that Seder. So once again, Kilo nae, kilo yae, adir bimlocha, bahur kalacha. Gedudav yomeru lo lecha ulecha lecha ki lecha lecha haflecha lecha Hashem mamlacha ki lo nahe ki lo yahe dagul bimlocha vadur kalacha vatikav yomeru lo. And now you go together with me, muted, but lecha ulecha lecha ki lecha lecha haflecha lecha Hashem mamlacha ki lo nahe כי לא יהא זכאי במלוכה, חסיד כהלכה, תפסיריו יאמרו לו לך ולך לך, כי לך לך אף לך, לך הר שם הממלכה, כי לא נאה, כי לא יהא יחיד במלוכה, כביר כהלכה, לימודיו יאמרו לו לך ולך לך, כי לך לך אף לך, לך הר שם הממלכה, כי לא נאה, כי לא יהא מושל כמלאכה, מונך הלכה, סביביו יאמרו לו לך ולך לך, כי לך לך אף לך, לך הר שם הממלכה, כי לא נאה, כי לא יהא גנב במלוכה, פודק הלכה, צדיקיו יאמרו לו לך ולך לך, כי לך לך אף לך, לך הר שם הממלכה, כי לא נאה, כי לא יהא קדוש במלוכה, רחום כהלכה, שניניו יאמרו לו לך ולך לך, כי לך לך אף לך, לך הר שם הממלכה, כי לא נאה, כי לא יהא תקי במלוכה, תומק הלכה, תמימיו יאמרו לו לך ולך לך, כי לך לך אף לך, לך הר שם הממלכה, כי לא נאה, כי לא יהא. So, if you, I mean, it's basically always the same verses with just different adjectives at the beginning. So with minimum effort, you do maximize the effect, because you learn something that can become very fast and make people can think that you're very, very, that you're very good in Hebrew, even though you just learned a few words. I'm speaking for myself, obviously. And it's also a fun piece that I like to do with kids often. And if I have, do I have a minute for another Italian one, and that will be the Echad Miodea. I'll go to Siena this time, to the version that we use in Siena. And, everybody knows Echad Miodea, so I don't need to explain anything about it. Just the fun part of this Italian version is that it has an amen at the end that everybody sings together, and it works like this. Chi saperà, chi intenderà, quale cosa la contentera. Now, you might not be hearing this, but I'm doing a very, very Tuscan pronunciation. There's a h, and also the Italian, for those who speak Italian, is very strange. It's almost not clear what is saying here. Contentera is probably something like contare or cantare or raccontare, so telling this. So who knows, who understands, come here, and this thing he will tell, or this thing he will recount. What does one mean, and then goes on. But the first part is strange. But again, chi saperà, chi intenderà, quale cosa la contenterà, quale cosa vuol dire uno. Uno è il creatore, Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. Amen. And everybody all together at the table. Amen. So chi saperà, chi intenderà, quale cosa la contenterà, quale cosa vuol dire due le tavole del patto. Uno è creatore, Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. Amen. Chi saperà, chi intenderà, quale cosa la contenterà, quale cosa vuol dire tre sono i nostri padri, Avram, Isaac e Yaakov, due le tavole del patto, uno è il creatore, Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. Amen. And so on and so forth, with one thing that we use, we'll probably use also the rhyme for, chi saperà, chi intenderà, quale cosa la contenterà, quale cosa vuol dire quattro madri di Israele, Sara, Rivka, Lea, Rachel, tre sono i nostri padri, Avram, Isaac e Yaakov, due le tavole del patto, uno è il creatore, Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. Amen. Chi saperà, chi intenderà, quale cosa la contenterà, quale cosa vuol dire cinque libri di Torah, quattro madri di Israele, Sara, Rivka, Lea, Rachel, tre sono i nostri padri, Abraham, Isaac e Yaakov, due le tavole del patto, uno è il creatore, Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo. Amen. And so forth. I'm not going until 13 because you know how it goes. But it's also quite and usually people have fun, or kids have fun, because they all shout. Kids and people that have drunk all the 4 glasses of wine shout Amen very, very, very strongly, and so everybody's really happy, and it's almost the end of the Seder.
Wow, that was so amazing, Enrico. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we should leave, and perfectly timed. Thank you, amazing. I think we should open up the floor. Let's, if we can get out of screen share, and I'm sure people have questions or comments or. Ed Flax, please unmute. Ed Flax on the
Hello
on
there.
the
How
elephant
are you?
farm.
How wonderful.
Thank you.
Just a delight to listen to an Italian version of the Seder songs. It makes it so different for us. We've been singing the same songs for God knows how many years in my family. So this is delightful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Want to welcome Giovanna.
Yeah, let me say hi to Giovanna. It was so wonderful to see you. I saw you in the middle. I didn't want to stop her to do, but
James and Giovanna.
James and Giovanna were so wonderful. Ciao.
Thank
You
you
were so nice
much.
and hosted me. It was so beautiful. I still dream about your house.
Ascolta Enrico, vengo in Italia fra un paio di mesi, spero di vederti, eh?
Assolutamente. Ce l'hai il mio numero, se no dopo te lo mando tramite Jeff. Vai, ti mando.
Grazie.
Vai, dovete venire da noi. Vi aspetto. Okay,
sorry
for this Italian.
Well, Deborah and I we got invited over to James and Giovanna's house, and when Enrico was staying there, I'm still thinking about that incredible meal you served us. Someday we shall all be joined together. Thank you. So,
thank you so much for organizing. This was beautiful.
Well, it was easy. He did all the work. Anyone? Michelle Alpern, you have any questions? You're a very knowledgeable person in liturgy and songs. Nope, she turned off her camera. I guess she doesn't. Any questions or thoughts? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Just thinking back on being in the synagogue in Siena and having a little tour there. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing when you think of those long traditions there. I mean, because the synagogue there was not really, I didn't even know it was maybe barely a functioning synagogue, but
it's still almost a functioning synagogue. The community is very small, but for example, the tune that I sang now is really from Siena, the Chissà per intendere, because until this was recorded in the 50s, and the guy who recorded was Jeremia Mario Castelnuovo, who's actually his descendants still live in Italy. I think nobody in Siena actually, but in Rome. But he was very knowledgeable. He had studied with his grandfather, who was a Chazan in Siena for a long time, when Siena was a very important community. And so he knew everything by heart, and he recorded a lot of these things from Siena. And we have, fortunately, all these old things that help us to construct a past that is almost gone, unfortunately. Yeah.
So have you done research with people around the country to find all this music? Or?
Yes, I've done some, I live in Florence, and I kind of have done some research with people. It is complicated to. First of all, we have a lot of recordings from the post-war period. I work a lot on these recordings because they make up a corpus of material that kind of helps us to reconstruct something. Already when those were recorded, it was already, as often we say, a memory of a living tradition. It was not even a living tradition anymore, not in many small towns and small communities that, like Siena, that almost dwindled, or there's some even smaller one that kind of disappeared. And so the only things that we have is recordings, basically. In other towns like Florence, where I live in, there's the tradition is very much alive, and people know their stuff, and there's young people learning it, and there's websites where everybody posts the correct version of a song or the other. So it is a very diverse situation. I work with that. It's my basic work is, as a musician and as a researcher, is to try and reconstruct somewhat all that I can of the various and different Italian traditions. And so, yeah. We're actually, this just is something that I'm glad to announce, but I will let Jeff know the details when it's online. We are putting together with, just had a year grant with a fellow researcher to put on the beginning of an online resource that will permit just to click on a place in the map, map of Italy, and go and find all the different recordings that are from that town and listen to. I mean, we have really thousands of different tunes and things that you can go and listen to and do your own trip through Jewish Italy via this map, and this will be online soon, I hope.
You're so lucky to have live in a place that has such a long Jewish tradition. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, we would say that you have been so lucky to live in a place that has so much such a Jewish life, which is sometimes we feel that we have too much tradition and too little life. As I said, it is not true all over. I mean, there are some communities that are very much alive. Like, for example, Rome is a fairly large community, not by Americans, but it's 16,000 Jews. It's a sizable community, and it's very much alive. And communities like Florence are very small compared to communities around the world, but have been there for hundreds of years. So we feel like we are 1,000 Jews, something like that. And it's kind of normal for us to be this size. And it has been this size for 500, 600 years. So, or slightly more than this, but not really incredibly, not really incredibly different numbers. And so it's different. I mean, sometimes, people, for example, young people that want to live in a really Jewish environment tend to go away and to live in Israel or in the States or in other European countries with larger Jewish communities. So it has its pros and cons, the situation. But I love it. I mean,
I wanted to mention, because all of you can tell if you don't know him, Enrico's an incredibly sweet and generous person, and so I know lots of people here can relate to this. I don't know what that echo is, but I think lots of people here can relate to this if they've been on the board of TJC or any other shul or any other nonprofit, that sometimes being too nice and generous can be to your detriment. So in addition to everything else Enrico is saying that he's doing, he also was elected the president of the Jewish community in Florence. I'm not sure he's happy about that.
We have this word in Judeo-Italian, which is una macca. A macca means, something like that. So, okay, that's what it is. But I mean,
yeah.
This means that I can formally invite you all when the situation will be, so we'll allow it to come visit and to come to the shul in Florence. And if I'm still president, which I'm not sure, but thank you. Anyway, I will be welcome there, ready to welcome you, and we'll be happy to see you there.
It's fantastic there, with the amazing cafe run by a Czech guy, and and it's paradise. I mean, it's Florence first of all, and the shul itself is gorgeous. And then you get to hang out with Enrico. Who else has any questions? Okay, back to the scrubbing and cleaning and shopping, I guess.
I would just like to say this was wonderful. It was so joyous, and Ed said, we've been doing the same melodies, and you suggested that we might not want to change. But I think it would be wonderful to change. And I know I have a contingent in Israel. I have a son with many grandchildren, and they're all singers. And their melodies are not at all my father's melodies. And I guess in Israel, they're constantly changing, and they make up their own harmonies. And so this was just wonderful, and I'm ready to change.
Well, one thing I noticed, which is really useful, Enrico and everyone, is, first of all, for the Seders at home, but also all that Hallel stuff. I mean, we have 4 days of Hallel coming up, and on Hanukkah, we've got, 8 days. So it's
you're right. I didn't get to the Hallel because there's
you did a little. You did
a little, the Betzet Israel, but there is also the Mina Mitzar, a lot of nice parts. But I mean, it was too long. But I'll send you some stuff if you're interested in some variations on Hallel.
And if people want me to send it to them, great. Okay, we're gonna let this poor guy. What time is it there now?
It's just about 1 in the morning, but it's okay. I was so glad to
He's a
be.
musician, so that's probably not too bad.
I mean, it feels like all the good. I mean, the good times. You know, the good old times. We
Okay.
haven't been playing live in a long time, and
Right.
so making.
It's like drinking coffee after the gig till 6 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. All right, listen, thank you everyone. Thank you so much, Enrico. This was everything that I expected plus more, as it always is with you.
Thank
And
you.
this is just heartwarming and intelligent and dear and just,
Okay.
I don't know, I couldn't stop smiling. I think my face is breaking. So, Chag Pesach Sameach to everyone. Good luck with everything. Shabbat Shalom. See you in Shul on Zoom. And love that you're here. And we love you, Enrico. Thank you so, so much. And
Thank you so much. Chag Sameach.
It's
Really,
amazing.
really, yeah.
Okay. Well, good night, everyone. Oh, and thank you to Mindy who had to leave, but Mindy was keeping us safe. And that's it. Okay. Laila Tov. Bye-bye.
Laila Tov. Ok.
Safe and well.
Saluta Firenze.
Sì, Giovanna, ti mando il numero attraverso Jeff. Bye bye.
Grazie,
Bye bye.
ciao.
Bye bye bye. Ciao.
Ciao.